Alright, how's everybody doing today? Back again with another video for you guys and gals. And today, what I have for everyone is my full review of the iPhone 6s Plus. Now, I've been using this for a good amount of time, and I feel like I've gathered all my thoughts and opinions on it. So y'all know how the story goes. Once I've gathered up all my thoughts and opinions, it's full review time. So without further ado, let's get into this full review. All right. Now, starting off, the first thing I want to talk about with you guys and gals is the overall build quality and design of this device. All right. Now, build quality wise, I have to say Apple has done a great job here. There's no rattling or creaking of any kind. The device feels very solid in the hand and gives you a nice clicky and tactile feedback for all of the buttons. So really, really good build quality overall on the 6s Plus. The same thing can be said for the overall design. It looks and feels very business-like, okay? It's very functionalist / utilitarian, all right? So I really do like the overall design that Apple has went with for their 6s Plus. So in terms of the overall build quality and design, I have to give both those aspects top-notch marks, all right? Good stuff, Apple, in those two categories. Next thing I want to talk about with you guys and gals now is the overall display on this bad boy. Now, up front, dead center here, we have a 5.5-inch IPS LCD display with a 1080p resolution. And for all you technical people, that means that it has a screen density of 401 pixels per inch, I believe. All right, so putting all those numbers aside and just talking about this display in terms of daily usage, I have to say this is a really good display. Now, when I go outdoors, I generally put this display at about 85%, so like right about there. And when I'm indoors, I generally keep it at about 50%, so right about there. But for the purposes of this video, because I don't want too much blowout, I have it set to like right about there. Okay? So everything should be looking nice and crisp and sharp for you guys and gals. But in terms of the overall display, in terms of daily usage, I have not had any issues with it, and I actually feel Apple has done a great job with this display. So top-notch marks overall in terms of the display category. Good job, Apple. Now, let's dive a little bit deeper into some of the hardware and the software on this device. Let's start off with the hardware first. Now, hardware-wise, this bad boy is packing a maximum of 2 gigs of RAM, and it comes in a bunch of storage variations. Now, it comes in either 16, 32, 64, or 128 gigabytes of onboard storage variants. There is no micro SD card expansion with this device, so I would always recommend you go for the max storage variant possible that you can get your hands on. This particular unit you guys and gals see in this video here today is a 2 gig of RAM variant with 64 gigs of onboard storage, alright? Other hardware includes this bad boy is packing a 12 megapixel rear facing camera with LED flash and microphones, okay? That camera is capable of recording up to 2K resolution videos at 30 frames per second, doing 1080p 120 frames per second slow motion, and also capturing 720p 240 frames per second slow motion as well. Other hardware features include this bad boy also incorporates a 3.5mm headphone jack, as y'all can see right there. Very happy to see that. Nice headphone jack. We got our lightning charging port connector and our bottom firing speaker grills. Alright, now internally this bad boy is packing the Apple A9 processor. I believe it's a dual core processor, and in terms of the GPU, this bad boy is packing the Power VR GT 7600 GPU. Okay, now other hardware include this bad boy has a front-facing 5 megapixel camera up front, which is capable of recording up to 1080p videos at 30 FPS. We do have a front-facing fingerprint sensor, which is really fast, as you guys and gals can see here. So let me just demo it one more time. Simply tap, it reads your finger and it unlocks. So really fast fingerprint sensor on board. Again, we have that 5.5-inch IPS LCD display, 1080p, really good stuff there. Now I do believe this covers all of the hardware, okay? And we also have NFC, but you can only take advantage of the NFC when you're using your Apple Pay, okay? Now I believe we covered all of the hardware. Now, diving into the software aspects of this device is running iOS 13.1.2, okay? Originally, when I got the device, it was running iOS 12.3 or 12.4, I believe. But right now, it's running the latest version of the iOS operating system. Let me verify for you guys here. So we go into settings and we go into software update. You guys and gals can see right there it's running 13.1.2, so the latest OS for your iOS device is on the 6S Plus. Really good stuff there. So that means we can take advantage of the dark mode, as y'all can see, and all of the tightly integrated features and software optimizations that Apple provides, okay? Just so you guys and gals know. And in terms of the software, in terms of day-to-day performance, I have to say this device has been really good. I haven't had any hiccups, stutters, or crashes, so I have to say Apple gets top-notch marks in regards to the overall software performance. All right, so good stuff there. And I was pleasantly surprised considering the age of this device. So I was expecting to see some bugs and some hiccups, and I didn't get any of that on this device. So in terms of the software, it's really good stuff in my opinion. All right. Got my timer going off there, I apologize. And in terms of the hardware, also really good stuff in my opinion. No issues with the hardware or the software. So top-notch marks in both of those aspects for this device. Alright, now moving on, let's talk about the Wi-Fi on this bad boy right here. Now in terms of the Wi-Fi, as you guys and gals can see, I'm getting some really good Wi-Fi numbers on this device. And in terms of the overall Wi-Fi hardware, this device is packing Wi-Fi 802.11 BGNN and AC. So that means we get access to our 2.4 gigahertz band Wi-Fi and our 5 gigahertz band Wi-Fi respectively. And in terms of my performance or daily usage with the Wi-Fi, it has been top notch and I haven't had any issues. Okay, but I know you guys and gals like to see the Wi-Fi performance test, so let's go ahead and load that up. Now I already have it preloaded just to make this video a little faster, but we're going to see how the RAM management is in real time. Now I've already maxed out the volume and I've already preloaded some copyright free music here, so this Wi-Fi performance test will also double as a speaker test as well. So let's go ahead and load this up. And you can see it did have to refresh, but it refreshed rather quickly. So let's go ahead and pull it back up. And here we go. Alright, let's scrub through the scrub through the video now and check the overall performance. Okay, so there you guys and gals have it. Real quick Wi-Fi test, real quick speaker test as well, just so you guys and gals could check that out for yourselves. Now, how do I feel about the overall Wi-Fi performance? Well, I'd have to say it has been top notch. How do I feel about the overall speaker performance and the placement? Well, at least to my ear, I feel as though these speakers perform really, really good. As you guys and gals heard, it was very loud, crisp, and clear throughout with no distortion, even at max volume. Okay, so really, really good in my opinion. Now, in terms of the placement, I'm not a big fan of the speaker placement on this device. As you guys and gals saw in my demonstration, it's really easy to obstruct and or muffle. So you really got to get used to your cupping technique, or you're going to have to pick up some Bluetooth accessories or a wired headset. So in terms of the placement, I'm not a big fan of it. I'm a big advocate for front-firing speakers, and I would love to have seen that on this older device, but it is what it is. Overall though, the overall Wi-Fi and speaker performance on this device is top-notch in my opinion. Now, let's keep it moving. Up next now, the next thing I want to talk about with you guys and gals is the LTE and the band supported. And once again, I've already preloaded it so we could check the memory management on this device. Now, in terms of the LTE and the LTE bands, this is a Verizon pre-owned, globally unlocked variant of the 6S Plus. So as y'all can see, we have all the necessary bands for all your GSM and CDMA carriers in the States and all your GSM carriers abroad. So as long as your carriers support these bands, you should be good to go. And as always, if this is unclear, I'll throw up the screenshot in post. Alright? So good stuff there when we talk about the overall LTE and the band supported. Good stuff indeed. Top-notch marks in that category. Next thing I want to talk about with you guys and gals is the overall Bluetooth and Bluetooth performance of this device. And this is another area where this device did a great job. Whoops, there we go, pulled it up right, thought I hit the wrong thing. Now, in terms of the overall Bluetooth, this bad boy is packing Bluetooth 4.2 technology on board. And I gotta say, in terms of the overall performance, I've had no issues, and y'all can see and get a general idea of some of the devices that I connected up to this 6S Plus, and the Bluetooth works phenomenally without issues. So top-notch marks in the Bluetooth category as well. Alright, next, let's go over another one of my core categories that need to be there when I'm considering picking up a device and making it my daily driver. For those of you who don't know, my core categories that needs to be there in order for me to consider keeping a device and making it my daily driver, it needs to have a really good build quality, a good display, it needs to have all the LTE and Wi-Fi bands, okay? It needs to have really good Wi-Fi performance, really good GPS performance, really good Bluetooth performance, good cameras, really good battery life, really fast charge times, and if it has wireless charging, that puts it head and shoulders above the rest. So just so y'all know, when I'm looking at a device, sure, I like to cover all these categories, but for me, those are the core categories that need to be there if I want to make a device my daily driver. Alright, just so y'all know. So moving on, talking about the GPS on this device, the GPS performance on this device is top notch. Now I do want to apologize because I can't do my usual GPS testing that I would do on my Android devices because iOS doesn't have apps that let you get as in-depth as they have the apps on Android. So I do apologize for that. So y'all just going to have to take my word for it when I talk about this device. But in terms of the overall GPS performance, I have to say it has been top notch. I haven't had any issues when it comes to taking advantage of the onboard GPS on this device. So turn-by-turn navigation, geocaching, geotagging, all have performed top-notch. So the GPS on this device is top-notch in my opinion. Next, let's now talk about the overall call quality and speaker call quality on this device, all right? And in terms of the call quality and speaker call quality on this device, again, this is where I would have to say it was really good. Not the best that I've experienced, but really good. Now, calls through the built-in receiver were kind of quiet for my taste, but I found that that had more to do with the carrier and the coverage. I only really had calling issues when I had my T-Mobile SIM in this bad boy. When I had my Verizon SIM or my AT&T SIM in here, didn't have any issues with the call quality. So that I'm chalking that up to the coverage on T-Mobile in my area is really bad. It's kind of trash. So yeah, but like I said, well, any of the other carriers that I have didn't have any issues with the call quality, didn't have any issues with the speaker quality. The volume of it through the receiver was a little quiet, but the volume and clarity through the speaker was top notch. So overall, the call quality and speaker call quality was good. Okay? Now, moving on, the next thing I want to talk about with you guys and gals is my overall experience with these cameras. Now, if you want a more in-depth look and a more deeper dive into my opinions and my impressions of this camera, feel free to check out my full in-depth camera walkthrough, which includes the photo and video samples. I'll link that up in the cards, and I'll link it down below in the video description if y'all would like to know more. That being said, my overall opinions of the cameras are these are some really good cameras as long as you're mindful of the lighting, okay? I did find in lower light scenarios, the lighting tends to run a little dark on this. So you really need to be mindful of the lighting and the lighting situations for this camera to get you some really good photos and or some really good videos. But if we're talking about straight point and shoot status, you can take some really good photos and or some really good videos with this device. And the fact that you get unlimited 4K recording on this device is a really good positive in my opinion. So overall, I'd have to say the cameras on this device are really good, especially when you consider the overall age of the device and the overall hardware that's packed in here. Really good stuff in my opinion, and the same thing can be said for the audio recording. Alright, really good audio recording on this device. Alright, good stuff in that category. Next, this is where I would talk about the overall gaming performance. Now, I've done a separate dedicated gaming performance video. Feel free to check that out. But I would have to say my experience with the overall gaming on this device has been top notch. Now, I did notice that once I started testing graphically intensive games, the battery life really took a hit, but in terms of the smoothness and the performance, didn't have any issues with this device. And again, if you think about it in terms of the age of this device, I was shocked. Okay, I was shocked. But the overall gaming performance on here is really, really good. Alright, next thing I want to cover with you guys and gals is the overall benchmarks. Now, this is iOS. There's really only two benchmarks that I could run on this iOS device. One being Geekbench 4 and the other being Antutu. So let's pull up my results on both those benchmarks. Here we go. And of course, it had to refresh. So let's find it again. So here we go. So in terms of Antutu, y'all can see the scores. It scored a 149,785. Really good stuff. And in terms of the Geekbench, it scored a 2552 for the single core and a 4,496 for the multi-core. Alright, really good stuff there. And in terms of the compute test, wow, baby, wow. It scored a 10,603 for the compute test. Bang, baby. Can't beat iOS when it comes to the benchmarks. Crazy numbers right there. Crazy. And you can also verify the RAM on here, so it is indeed 2 gigs of RAM. Crazy stuff. Alright, so in terms of the benchmarks, those are the only real benchmarks that I can run on the iOS device, and it did a great job. Great indeed. Yes, indeed. Now, moving on, the next thing I want to talk about with you guys and gals is I want to go over the overall battery life and the overall charge times on this device. Now, this is another area where I do have to apologize. I can't go as in-depth with the battery life and the charge times as I would be able to do if this was an Android device, Put simply, iOS doesn't have the apps to let me go as in-depth as I would like. So once again, you're going to have to take my word for it. Now, in terms of the overall battery life, I found that with my particular style of usage, which is heavy usage, I can get through the day, but I do have to charge my device 2 to 3 times to get through the day. Okay? And that's with my style of heavy usage. Alright, now on average, I'm averaging anywhere from 4.5 hours of on-screen time to 7.5 hours of on-screen time. And anything that I can do with my devices, I do with my devices. So I'm an extremely heavy user, and your guys and gals results may vary. Okay, so that's how this device is stacking up in terms of the overall battery life with my usage. Now let's talk about the overall charge times. Now, one thing I want to mention is that this device has a 1080p display, IPS LCD, and it has a 2750 milliamp hour battery. That's something that you guys and gals have to keep in mind, because the display is a big power draw, and then the overall battery capacity is something that you have to consider when you're thinking about the overall charge times. And also, I want to let you guys and gals know I did not use that garbage included brick or that garbage included cable that came with my device. I went out and I got good, high quality third-party cables and a good, high quality third-party brick, and that's how I was able to get the charging speeds that I'm getting ready to talk about with you guys and gals. So with my particular testing, which has been from 10% to 100 5 times, about 3 to 5 times, 15% to 100, 3 to 5 times, 20% to 100, 3 to 5 times, and 5% to 100, 3 to 5 times. I found that on average, it's taking me anywhere from about 2 to 2.5 hours to reach a full charge with this iOS device. So really good stuff. Okay, in the instances where I did drain it to dead, or I forgot to charge it and I went to sleep, it did take 3 hours to reach a full charge. So from completely dead to full, it's going to take 3 hours. Now I'll link up the cables and the brick that I used with this device down below in the video description if y'all want to take advantage of the fastest charging possible for your iOS device. Okay? Also, I am planning on doing a battery swap on this device. Once the battery health gets down to about 50 to 60%, I'm going to reach out to the same repair place that I used before, and we're going to try and do a battery swap on this device, and I am going to use an extended battery. I'll link that up down below in the video description as well if y'all want to see which extended battery I will be using. So y'all stay tuned for that. I'll let you know how that goes. I may even give y'all an updated video. But in terms of the overall battery life and charge times, again, let me reiterate, in terms of battery life, I'm getting through the day, but I do need to charge 2 to 3 times, and that's on average getting me screen on time of 4.5 hours to 7.5 hours. In terms of the overall charge times, I'm averaging anywhere from 2.5 to 3 hours to reach a full charge. Okay, just something I want y'all to keep in mind. Alright, so that goes over the battery life and overall charge times, and now we've reached the end of this video, and this is where I want to talk to you guys and gals about the price and give y'all my overall final thoughts and a recommendation or two. Okay, so talking about the pricing, I picked this up via Amazon, and I picked it up in used like new condition, and I paid approximately $215 after tax. I'll throw up the screenshot, but one thing I want y'all to keep in mind, the screenshot does not include the taxes. I do apologize for that. But for $215, that's the price that I paid for this device. And if you guys and gals are wondering, can I recommend that you pick up this device at that price? I'd have to say yes. Even still, if you're willing to go to other third-party places like eBay or other third-party sites like Swappa, then you can find this device in prices ranging from about $150 to $250, depending on the storage variant that you're looking for. And again, I would always recommend that you go for the highest storage variant because there's no micro SD card expansion. Alright, so that pretty much does it for this review of the iPhone 6s Plus. I hope you guys and gals enjoyed this review and or found it helpful. If y'all did enjoy this review or you found it helpful in any way, shape, form, or fashion, please help your boy out and give the video a thumbs up. That really does help me out. You don't know how much. If you would like to see more content like this, also feel free to hit the subscribe button down below and click off the notification bell icon right next to it so you guys and gals get notified when I publish new videos. That being said, if this video piqued you guys and gals' interest, all the links to where y'all can pick up this device as well as all the accessories that I've done coverage on will be available down below in the video description. So as always, if your interest is piqued, down below in the video description will be like a one-stop shop for you guys and gals, and you should be good to go. Alright, this whole video here today has been recorded using the rear-facing 16 megapixel camera on the Bold N1 in 720p resolution at 30 frames per second with no external microphone hooked up. So please let me know what you think of the overall video and audio quality down below in the comments. Your feedback, as always, is greatly appreciated. I hope everyone has a great day, and I will catch you guys and gals in my next video. Peace, everyone. Bumpy Cam. Sorry, y'all. We out.